कहना आसान है, समझना मुश्किल और समझना तभी मुमकिन है जब हम दूसरों को ध्यान से सुनें। That was a dialogue from the movie Dear Zindagi, and those lines were the perfect way to start the very first episode of Dialogues of Change, the Indian edition, where we break down the heartbeat of Indian society, one issue at a time, against the backdrop of Bollywood dialogues. I'm your host Shashank, and today we are diving into a topic as omnipresent as chai on an Indian railway platform: nepotism. Inspired by Bollywood's iconic dialogue, Rishtey mein to hum tumhare baap lagte hain. Hi. We are exploring how nepotism operates in Indian society and beyond. From politics to Bollywood, business to sports, nepotism is everywhere. But is it always bad? Or does it have a silver lining? Brace yourself for an episode packed with real life examples, a touch of humor, and of course, some food for thought. Let's start with politics, where nepotism doesn't just exist, it thrives. You can almost hear it whispering, "Ye mera area hai." In India, political dynasties are almost a norm. Take, for example, the Nehru Gandhi family. Critics argue that Rahul Gandhi's prominence in Indian politics has more to do with his family name than his personal achievements. Despite his defeats in key elections and questions about his leadership abilities, he continues to be a central figure in Indian politics, right? And then another example that comes to mind in this context is that of Jai Shah, son of Amit Shah, India's Home Minister. Jai Shah rose to prominence as the secretary of the BCCI. His appointment stirred controversy, with critics claiming that his success owes more to his father's influence than his own merit. Now, whether this is entirely fair or not, it raises a question. In politics and power, can one truly escape the shadow of legacy? But nepotism isn't a single party phenomenon. Across states, political families dominate. The Thakres in Maharashtra, the Gandhis in Delhi, and the Karunanidhis in Tamil Nadu all represent a legacy based approach to leadership. Politics in India is less a game of chess and more a game of "ye meri family ki seat hai." For every leader who inherits their position, there's a grassroots worker wondering if they'll ever be able to make it past the chai serving duties. But to be fair, political dynasties aren't just an Indian affair. But more on that later. Now, we cannot have a nepotism discussion without bringing in Bollywood, where the star kid is practically a genre in itself. I mean, if you're the offspring of a Bollywood actor, it seems like your starter pack includes a gym membership, a debut under Dhamma Productions, and an audience ready to either love or hate you. Take Alia Bhatt, born into a film family, launched by Karan Johar, and now one of the top actresses in the industry. Critics, such as Kangana Ranaut, often question whether Alia's success is rooted in nepotism. But let's be honest, if Razi didn't make you tear up, are you even human? Then there's Ananya Pandey, who once famously declared she too had to, quote unquote, struggle for her Bollywood break. While outsiders were auditioning, she was busy struggling with her father, Chunky Pandey, opening the doors for her. And on the flip side, you have someone like Sushant Singh Rajput, a self made actor whose tragic demise reignited this debate. Was his talent overlooked because he didn't have a powerful Bollywood surname? Now, here's a twist: nepotism isn't always the villain we paint it to be. Let's play devil's advocate for a moment. Take the case of family run businesses. Mukesh Ambani took over Reliance from his father Dhirubhai Ambani and turned it into a global powerhouse. Sure, his surname helped, but would a random MBA graduate have managed to lead Reliance to where it is today? Maybe, but Mukesh's deep connection to the business ensured continuity and long term vision. Now let's get real for a moment. Nepotism is not just something out there in politics, Bollywood, or big businesses. It exists right here in our own homes, in our decisions, and even in our intentions. And that's the uncomfortable truth. Most of us are guilty of supporting nepotism when it works in our favor. Think about it. If you own a business, would you prefer grooming your own child to take it over? Or would you entrust it to an outsider with better qualifications? If you had a chance to use your personal connections to secure your relative a job, would you hesitate? And let's not even talk about the countless recommendations we make for college admissions, internships, or even wedding proposals. Nepotism often feels more like loyalty when it's about our people. But here's the question we rarely ask ourselves: at what cost? Are we depriving someone who has worked harder, sacrificed more, and perhaps deserves the opportunity better? Are we creating an environment where only those with the right connections succeed while real talent is pushed aside? Or are we unknowingly feeding a culture that normalizes exclusion for those who don't have the right last name? And yet, we justify it. We tell ourselves, I'm just helping my family, or this is how the world works. But imagine being on the other side, the outsider fighting for a seat at the table that's already reserved for someone else. Let me make this deeply personal. If tomorrow your child were denied an opportunity despite their talent because someone else had a more influential last name, how would you feel? Would you still defend the system or would you demand change? Here's the irony: when we support nepotism in our circle, we contribute to a system that might one day work against us. What's more troubling is that this cycle is self perpetuating. When we choose comfort over fairness, we silently tell the world, merit doesn't matter as much as who you know. So here's a challenge for all of us. The next time you're in a position to recommend someone, pause. Ask yourself, am I doing this because they're the best choice or because they're family? When you see nepotism benefiting someone else, ask, if I were in their shoes, would I feel proud or guilty of this advantage? Most importantly, can we collectively start valuing people for their skills, hard work, and ideas rather than their lineage? The hardest truth is this: nepotism thrives not because of a few powerful individuals, but because we, the masses, enable it in small, everyday ways. Nepotism isn't just a societal issue, it's a personal one. Change starts when we look in the mirror and ask, am I truly being fair, or am I part of the problem? Now, before we wrap up, let's zoom out. Nepotism isn't just India's guilty pleasure, it's a global phenomenon. In the United States, families like the Kennedys and Bushes have dominated politics for generations. Even in business, the Walton family, heirs to the Walmart empire, collectively hold wealth exceeding $200 billion. Statistically speaking, studies show that family run businesses account for nearly 70 to 80% of global GDP. While legacy plays a role, it's also about trust, mentorship, and preserving wealth within families. However, nepotism becomes problematic when it stifles diversity and meritocracy. A 2022 survey found that 70% of professionals in India felt overlooked due to nepotism in the workplace. This isn't just about family connections, it's about systemic favoritism that keeps capable people stuck at the bottom rung. So, is nepotism inherently evil or just another shade of gray? It depends on how you look at it. Maybe it's time to focus less on the beneficiaries and more on creating systems where everyone gets a fair shot, regardless of their surname. Thank you for tuning into Dialogues of Change, the Indian edition. Until next time, stay curious, stay critical, and remember, life is like nepotism. Sometimes you're the insider, sometimes you're the outsider.